Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, the Pentagon reviews findings on major UAP reports in a Senate hearing. And a bipartisan House bill to modernize government data would extend the life of the CDO Council. It's Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. All right, let's get into today's top headlines. The leader of the Defense Department organization charged with investigating reports of unidentified anomalous phenomena laid out findings related to two high-profile incidents and another that he said hasn't received as much attention from the public. That presentation by Jon Kosloski, director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, came during a congressional hearing Tuesday with members of the Senate Armed Services Subcommittee on Emerging Threats and Capabilities. Lawmakers have been urging the Pentagon to be more transparent about its work on UAP issues and have raised national security concerns about these types of incidents. UAP, an acronym that refers to unidentified anomalous phenomena, is a modern term for UFOs and other mysterious transmedium objects. During the hearing, Kosloski walked the subcommittee through the findings the AARO delivered on a trio of UAP cases referred to as the Go Fast, Puerto Rico, and Mt. Etna incidents, the latter of which he said hasn't received as much attention from the public. In each case, he explained how the AARO, or AARO, has been able to use basic math and science to disprove any evidence of transmedium objects, often pointing to parallax, which makes it look like an object is moving much faster than it is, as the explanation for what's occurring in a reported observation. These examples were just a few of the more than 1,600 UAP reports that AARO has received to date. Last week, the Pentagon released its fiscal 2024 consolidated annual report about its work and findings related to these efforts and briefed reporters. Among the closed cases the office conducted from the May 1st, 2023 to June 1st, 2024 time period, about 70% of the UAP were deemed to have been balloons, 16% drones, 8% birds, 4% satellites, and 2% aircraft, according to the report. To date, AARO has not discovered any verifiable evidence of extraterrestrial beings, activity, or technology, Kosloski told senators at Tuesday's hearing. In other news, congressional efforts to extend the Chief Data Officer Council past the end of the year got a major boost Monday when a bipartisan House bill was introduced as the companion to earlier Senate legislation. The Modernizing Data Practices to Improve Government Act, introduced by Representatives Summer Lee and Nancy Mace, calls for an extension to the council's lifespan until 2031, while also requiring the CDO Council to report to Congress about data governance challenges that prevent the adoption of emerging tech across the federal landscape. Senators Gary Peters and Todd Young introduced the Senate version of the bill in September. Unlike the Senate companion, this House bill would not require the appointment of a representative chief AI officer to the council. However, it would require the director of the Office of Management and Budget, in concert with the CDO Council, to make publicly available an identification of resources needed by CDOs, including to support the adoption of AI at agencies. 1 year after the legislation is implemented, the bill would require that the CDO Council submit a report that includes recommendations and best practices for agencies on developing data assets, data governance policies, and infrastructure to enable adoption, maintenance, use, and interoperability of emerging technology and artificial intelligence. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.